Howdy Howdy, this is Clara Lawrence. Okay, so I'm all cooped up in a hotel room and I got a couple projects with me. I grabbed two trays. One of them I've done fairly recently, but this one I did a while back. And it was a tray that when it came out I was kind of meh. I still like the colors in it. It does have a little bit of a glow to it, you know, and that happens when you have certain intensities of color next to each other, that you can get a glow kind of feeling, like something either feels hot or just neon-esque, or like there's some kind of light source behind it. And I like this. I did put it out there on the video about what do you think I should draw on this, you know, a horse or this or that, and it was 100%. They said dragon, so I think I got a lot of dragon lovers that follow me, and that's okay because I'm trying to draw more and more dragons myself. Sorry, I just bumped my mic there. I hope I didn't blow anybody's ears out. So anyway, so I thought I would do something. You know, he's just there. He's kind of being regal. A little bit of smoke coming out of his nose. There's that little bit of a white area that looks like he's almost blowing it out. So that's why I wanted to play with the smoke. But this time I wanted to draw out some smoke lines too. And I thought that might add a nice little element to it. So just to recap what I do here, I normally will put in the lines with chalk markers, so that way I can tweak out my orientation of what's overlaying another thing, plus also tweak the shape out of the general piece, the direction, and make sure he's on there looking. I don't want him to look like it's stagnant, it's really flat. I want it to look like it's got some life to it, so that means some movement with lines and such. And it might be the arc to the neck and things like that, so I can really work out all those details with the chalk lines. And then I'll go and hit it really fast with the chrome markers, and I've got a couple different weights to that, and I use a lighter weight first. Then you erase all my chalk lines, you know, with a little paper napkin with a little bit of water, and dry it off really good. If I need to do it again, I do it again. And then as soon as that's done, a lot of my lines will look like it has a little bit of white residue, and I think it captures part of it on that first layer. And that's okay, because I go back with my thicker marker and I can really clean up a lot of lines if I need to, redirect the lines slightly because it's a thicker marker, and I go in. That's why I do two additional steps with them. Those mirror markers. So those are monotone chrome markers, and it literally looks like you're drawing with a mirror. They're so reflective. And then I will go through, and when this is done, I'll usually put some little highlights in there from the mirror marker, just to show kind of a light source, where the light source is coming from. And then I'll hit this with another different type of marker. This one will be the black, and again, since it's another process, I can go and clean up edges if I need to with the Molotow. I can redraw a line if I need to. It just adds me some flexibility for making some saves and such. So right now we're just playing with light, and that's cool. Anyway, it's a really pretty day. I've got this little table. They have this little round table, and this is my first time like setting it up in just like another environment, doing a video. It's like, yep, I'm committed. I'm just going to do a video because I'm creating some art. Got to document it. So I've got this little bitty round table. I did bring my turntable with me, as you can tell, because of my piece going zip zip. But I brought my tripod, and it's a flexible tripod. And I've never used it before, and I thought this would be perfect because it's also small, and I thought the hotel room might be kind of small in nature as far as setting up anything. Well, I tried to put it on the table, and that didn't work. So I had, you know, most hotel rooms will come with like an ice bucket. This one had a metal one, and so I had this thing literally sitting on top of the metal one, and then I bent the legs so it was kind of grabbing it around the sides like an octopus and such, which led me to really bunch it down around this ice cube bucket real well. and then it was secure on there. So if I had to move it because the boys were coming over for a visit, we're getting them set up for college. That's why I'm in the hotel room. I could easily disassemble it so we could use the table and then re-put it back on and just keep that shape, and it would just fit perfectly over the lid. So I was rather proud of myself because that was the first time I was doing that. Let's see. I think I'm almost done with the highlights. So if you're interested in what you can do with crosshatch, I've got a couple videos on my YouTube channel where I go in a lot more detailed with the crosshatch lines, and there are a couple time-lapse drawings. I think there's a couple horses, there's a shark in there. Did I do it? I did a lion. No, I didn't do a lion. I did a bird. Yeah, an eagle in there. And those I get really, really detailed in with the crosshatch lines. So you can, it's a great way of doing an illustration to create form and shading and such. I don't know why, just doing the crosshatch lines always appeal to me. Maybe it's a faster way of doing shading with a line art or something like that. I don't know. But we get along well. And it is one of those things that you can add a little bit. You don't need a ton, so you can go minimal with it, or you can just have it as rich as doing a fine shading project with, you know, like a pencil. You could do a lot of detail work in there. So you could do the same thing with crosshatch too. So I encourage you to play with different types of shading techniques. I've done pointillism. It takes a while. It takes a long while to do it dot by dot by dot. So I think I would be really interested in a big old fat Sharpie marker in pointillism maybe. I haven't had to do those since school. You would go through some markers just from the pounding. So again, I'm using combination of the resin shading and the background elements to really accentuate this piece. Like where I've drawn the line has that, like that edge of where the glow is. So the glow looks like it's coming around behind the dragon, and there's a couple points on the head where it's at that it looks like it's possibly lighting the face too. And that really came out when I was tweaking it with the chalk line. So chalk does really great on resin. And to be able to do your initial drawing, and then as soon as you do some type of inking, go in and erase it, and then you've got, you know, a very nice clean image. So the black pens right now I'm using are black Posca pens, and they work pretty good. When you're doing the thicker lines, be prepared, they can crack. I kind of like the look of it, just because it's in a lot of the thick line art area, but it'll do really fine line cracks. So if you don't want that, you may want to play with a different type of paint pen on top of the resin. But I work with two different types of black markers here as far as the thickness. One that's super fine so I can really get in some nice line detail, and then I'll work with a thicker one for some heftier details. But I do find that when I'm doing shading work, I will do it a little bit all over and then go back in on a second layer and do it any additional work, because it's easy to get carried away, especially if you're trying to do minimal amount of work. So I encourage you to kind of shade with the lines, even by, think of them as layers. Because once you overdo it, it's hard to fix it. But if you underdo it, you can easily add more. And shadows are one of those things that really make a piece pop out quite a bit and gives it that drama or that edge to it. So this is a great way of adding that little extra shading or drama to the piece. And this is just one of my I don't know if you want to call it a signature thing or what. It's something I do when I do my illustrations, my line art illustrations, where I'll mess with a thicker outline on the very outside edge or around critical shapes. And it helps make it pop. And gives it a little bit of personality to the illustration too. Alright. So I'm happy to say, and I have to brag about myself, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in another artist block video, but we lost our nephew Stephen many years ago, and this is the first time that I have done some type of art, especially drawing, like in a place, not my home, not my studio, and literally in a hotel room. I'm by myself, and it's like I'm okay in my own skin, and I'm able to do some drawing. And this sounds like a silly thing, but for me, this is a big deal. I've been working at this long and hard for many years to finally get back to this place again where I can do drawings anywhere. So this was a big breakthrough for me, and very happy moment. All right, so believe it or not, it looks like I'm wrapping it up, but there's more coming. So I'm gonna back off as far as the little voiceover to let this finish up, and then you can hear hear what I had to come in and fix. Let's see if you notice. Yeah, see if you notice, and if you have figured it out before you actually hear the part, put it in the description below. If you haven't figured it out, that's okay, because I'll let you know what I did wrong, and you'll find out soon enough. All right, let me get you in for a close-up here. So I've had this tray for a while, and it was voted that it get a dragon on it because it didn't quite come out the way I wanted it to, and that seems to be a good fix. So here's the dragon. And I'm also not in a location like I'm normally at, in a hotel room in Nacogdoches. It's where one of my sons is going to college at Stephen F. Austin, and he's coming tomorrow. We had some billing problems, so I had to come a day early to make sure everything was all set up right for him. And so I brought a little bit of something for me to work on. So he's done. So here's an update on this guy. So he was bugging me before because his front lip really hung out. So I ended up working on his lower jawline and bringing that out so it looks a little bit more balanced or proportional. So yeah, much happier now. And add a little bit more detail, but you know how it is. We always have to fidget with it.
But definitely hit the bell to get notified next time I put a video up. There you go.